Happy morning. We in Bangalore branch thought it appropriate in the beginning of the year to have a one-day seminar or one-day workshop on income tax, scrutiny, search, summons, survey, seizure, to understand the nitty-gritty of these aspects. Even though once the GST comes from the several quarters, the loud noise coming, that is a game changer for practicing chart evidence. But the charm of income tax is not getting less. That is how we thought it appropriate to have this one-day workshop. To share knowledge in this session, we have identified several eminent speakers on the subjects, and also to inaugurate, we have as our chief guest Sri B.R. Balakrishnan, IRS, Director General of Income Tax Investigation, Bangalore. May I request Branch Chairperson Geeta A.B. to escort the chief guest, also the workshop coordinator Naveen Kariwal onto the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, once again welcome the chief guest on stage. Now I request Branch Chairperson Geeta A.B. to welcome the guests and the audience.
A very pleasant morning to each one of you present here. Dignitaries on the dais, I have distinguished chief guest for the inauguration of today's workshop, Sri B.R. Balakrishnan. Our technical speakers who will join us and little bit while, C.A. K.R. Pradeep and other speakers, C.A. Shankar, Paranjan Pinja, C.A. K.K. Chitniya, and our moderator and coordinator of this workshop, C.A. Naveen Kariwal, our facilitators, C.A. Deepak Chopra and C.A. Nitin Kumar, past chairman of our branch, our colleagues in managing committee, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to all of you to today's workshop. Today, being Swami Vivekananda's Jayanti, let us start our day with this inspirational thought. Fill the brain with high thoughts, highest ideals, place them day and night before you, and out of that will come a great work. Let us hold on this thought and enrich our knowledge, thereby making this day an enlightened one. I feel privileged and honored to be amidst a large gathering of my dear professional friends as the first chairperson of Bangalore branch. Now on behalf of Bangalore branch and all of us present here, I extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, Sri Balakrishnan, Director General of Income Tax Investigation. May I request our past chairman, C.A. Ravindra, to come forward and present a bouquet to our chief guest and welcome him for this inaugural session. In fact, we are fortunate to have a chief guest of this high cadre with landmark achievements in detection of undisclosed income and seizure of unaccounted assets. In addition to this, he has been given the Finance Minister Award in recognition of his sustained devotion and commitment to duty for promoting excellence in work. Such a great personality amidst us is definitely an inspiration to all of us. I am very happy and proud to see that our Bangalore branch, the most dynamic branch, bubbling with professional activities throughout the year, is blessed with dedicated and learned speakers who are always lending a helping hand by being a resource person and sharing their expertise to increase our knowledge about various fields. At this point of time, I request CA Srinivas, our committee member, to welcome our coordinator, CA Naveen Khaniwal, by presenting a floral bouquet. And I also request Srinivas to formally welcome our facilitators of this program, CA Nitin Kumar and Deepak Chopra. This is a unique workshop in which 4 stalwarts specialized in income tax domain will be sharing their knowledge. And I also thank Chief Justice of High Court, Sri Vineet Kothari, for accepting our invite to be our valedictory chief guest. And in spite of his busy schedule, he will be joining us in the evening for the valedictory session. On behalf of Bangalore branch and all of us present here, let us wholeheartedly welcome CA Naveen Khaniwal, who is instrumental in conducting the workshop with the support of our great speakers. At this point of time, let me emphasize, CA Naveen Khaniwal is always supportive and conducting various programs of our branch for the benefit of our professional fraternity. I also extend a very warm welcome to my dear professional friends who have taken time off their from busy office schedule and assembled here to participate in this workshop. As we all know, we, the CAs, should be able to adapt and adopt the rapid changes in the present scenario of globalization, enabling us to keep pace with the various amendments and to meet the ever-increasing expectations of the users of our services in this highly competent business environment. In order to advise and guide our clients, we should have an adequate and updated knowledge and skills. The year 2017 was a year of sea changes with the introduction of GST, ICTS, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, convergence of Ind AS and IFRS, NCLT, and at present, amendments in Companies Law 2017, so on and so forth. We, being the partners in national building, have to update and it should be addressed with the frequent changes occurring in different areas of our services. I am very happy to share that today's deliberations by an expert and experienced speakers of this workshop will make us to understand the intrinsic issues pertaining to these areas, which will pave way for furthering the social and economic development of a great nation. I am very much delighted to see that Bangalore branch is always proactive in conducting varied programs of professional interest, and members are also actively participating and getting benefit out of it. Having said it, I tell you the real fact that we are blessed with resource persons who are very supportive in conducting programs, safeguarding the interest of our profession, and contributing to the economic well-being of our great nation. We have many interesting sessions lined up in this way in the forthcoming month, including 2-day weekend training program on GST for accounting executives of CE firms and corporates, badminton match between our members and income tax department, another is program, an analysis of Union Budget 2018, and 2 days class-by-class discussion on Union Budget analysis, a training program for expectations of RBI from statutory auditors of NBFCs, Vibrant Regulations, Vibrant India, moving towards new frontiers. This will be a new program SARC will be organizing, and where we are expecting our VP of India will address this session. And many more. I request all of you to participate all these programs in large numbers and get benefit out of this. Once again, while welcoming you all for this program, I thank each one of you for being a part of this significant workshop. Have a great knowledge base. Thank you.
Friends, for this workshop, our eminent speaker, K.R. Pradeep, joined us. Please welcome him with a round of applause. To know better of our chief guest and also our program coordinator, may I request C.A. Srinivas, our managing committee member, to come forward and introduce the chief guest and the coordinator.
Happy morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to give introduction our chief guest, Director General of Income Tax, Shri B.R. Balakrishnan. He is from the 1983 batch of Indian Revenue Service. He joined as the Director General of Income Tax Investigation, Karnataka and Goa in September 2016. Prior to that, he has worked in the investigation wing of the Income Tax Department for 1 year in Chennai and 2 years in Mumbai as Principal Director of Income Tax. Shri Balakrishnan has also worked as Director of Intelligence and Criminal Investigation in Mumbai. In all these posts, he has carried out landmark investigation exposing undeclared foreign assets of prominent business families as well as large-scale tax evasion by politically exposed persons. Under his leadership, the investigation directorates in both these places, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, have risen to the primary places in terms of detection of undisclosed income and seizure of unaccounted assets. He has been on deputation with Enforcement Directorate and also worked as Chief Vigilance Officer in 2 PSU, the Shipping Corporation of India and Mazgaon Docks Limited, and also held additional charge of Goa Shipyard Limited in the period 2004 to 2010. While working as Chief Vigilance Officer, Shri Balakrishnan put special emphasis on procurement related issues. On the occasion of National Voters Day, 25th January 2017, the President of India awarded Shri Balakrishnan a special award instituted by the Election Commission of India for controlling money power in Tamil Nadu State Assembly Election 2016. On the occasion of Income Tax Day on 24th July 2017, Shri B.R. Balakrishnan has been given the Finance Minister Award in recognition of his sustained devotion and commitment to duty and for promoting excellence in work. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir. And also, I am privileged to introduce our program coordinator, Shri Naveen Kariwalji. He is a BCom FCA in practice. He is practicing as a chartered accountant. For the part of team nominated by Bangalore branch of SRCF-ICA to represent before Honorable Justice R.V. Ishwar Committee for Simplification of Taxes. He has presented papers on conferences conducted by the various branches across India and even other forums, trade communities and colleges, and he is regular our faculties for final CA students also. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Srinivas. For any program, we believe God's blessings is most important. To seek the Almighty's blessing, let us light the lamp. May I request the dignitaries on the dais, also our eminent speaker, K.R. Pradeep, and our managing committee member to come forward.
Yaeshasupteshu jagrati Yaeshasupteshu jagrati
for making this program a huge success, because I would like to inform the members again, this is not a GST workshop. All the GST workshops are full all our last 8 months, and after 1 year, finally we have an income tax workshop which is full, courtesy four learned speakers, Shri A. Pradeep, K. R. Pradeep, Shri Shankar, Shri Padam Kincha and K. K. Chaitanya. So these are our four players who will take on our common adversary, that is the income tax department. That is like, what do they say jokingly, it's an India-Pakistan match. So what happens, we are here to dwell upon the theoretical aspects as well as the practical aspects. And who better than these four speakers to take us through the sections of search related to search, summons, seizure, scrutiny and also settlement commission. The first session will be by Shri or K. R. Pradeep, who will take us through issues in settlement commission. Even before the session of search, even before search we are having settlement commission. So the first session will be our K. R. Pradeep. He will take us through settlement commission issues and summons. Then we will have a tea break and then Mr. Shankar will take over and issues in search, related issues in 153 ABC and allied. And then there will be lunch break, and after lunch we will have Mr. Padam Kincha taking us through issues in survey. Issues in survey, concept of there is a limited scrutiny which will be taken over by Chaitanya, K. K. Chaitanya, concept of limited scrutiny and other issues in scrutiny. Now as you know my dear friends, from next year onwards, anything about scrutiny, everything has to be done online through your ITPA. So all these discussions we will be having and more touching upon the practical aspects. So without standing between you and our chief guest, I thank one and all for making this program useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, C.A. Nanin Kariwal, for the sweet and short overview of this workshop. All of us are waiting to listen to our chief guest. May I request our chief guest to come forward and deliver the address.
Good morning. Srimati Geeta, Shri Kariwal, Shri Pradeep, Mr. Shetty. I'm actually very happy to be here because normally as an income tax person, you interact a lot with chartered accountants. As you heard, I belong to the 83 batch, which means I've been working since 85. And though I've spent some time on deputations, etc., a lot of time has been spent in the department in which chartered accountants have been a kind of integral part of my life. But since this last, I joined in Bangalore in September 16. But after that, unfortunately, I've hardly had any interaction with any chartered accountant. Because as Director General, I have very little operational role to play. It's mostly a supervisory and leadership role. And in this process, I've missed out on interacting with chartered accountants. I remember in my Bombay days, one CA friend had organized some program involving meditation, spirituality, etc. for us. So I remember joking at that time with my friends that in this birth, if you get moksha, that also will be the universal CA. So that kind of interaction, unfortunately, has been missing. Now, then Srimati Geeta and colleagues came to invite me yesterday, and today morning I've been asking people what do young qualified chartered accountants. Like these figures are quite interesting. 13,000 qualified CAs in Bangalore, of whom 4,000 are in practice, and 37,000 students. Now that's really huge. I really do hope that all of you, everybody finds a rewarding kind of career. So the figures being so high. I was asking about a young CA's preference between practice and working in industry. Yesterday the feedback I got was that now people really they enjoy practice and they are coming into practice, which I hope is a very healthy thing. I do hope that the department is treating you well, and I would be happy for any feedback in this issue. Now, our Mr. Kariwal, while talking about this talked about the adversarial relationship between CAs and the department, which is one part of the relationship. There are two other things. One is that we try to take as many tax out of people. You hopefully try to see that it is within the limits of law and the realities. But the other part is that we are part of the same tax system. we, both of us, make our living from the fact that people have to pay tax. The third is that we are citizens of this country who hopefully have some stake in the continued growth, development, healthy development of our country. So it is actually, it's not a singular kind of relationship. We interact with each other in at least 3 different ways. So talking about, let me first take up that the thing where we are not on the same side, we are on the other 2 sides of the table. The investigation wing which I had in Karnataka, Goa has been extremely active. As you know, the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, has put a huge amount of emphasis on the fight against black money. Now this has taken 2 sides. One is that by making systems as transparent, by reducing the interaction between taxpayer and the tax collector, he has tried to reduce scope for harassment. He has tried to make the system as transparent as possible. But the other side of this is also that the enforcement function, in the terms of hardcore investigation, has also been given a huge fillip. I think this is something which is very healthy for the economy. The 2 landmark reforms of the government, GST and the demonetization. GST, as we all know, is a highly welcome step. I don't think anybody among us would challenge it, because it puts in a self-enforcing, self-reinforcing system of collecting indirect taxes, where it becomes very difficult to avoid paying tax, because you get credit for the inputs, even if you try to avoid paying tax on the value you add, the remaining tax would still be liable. So unless somebody tries and stays entirely out of that chain of collecting, chain of value addition, it becomes difficult. I don't think anybody really objects to that. I mean, there may be some disagreement on what the rate should be, but beyond that, the GST as a system, I think an educated middle class person in India would welcome. The other one, demonetization, has been controversial. Now, the good, bad, how much good has come out of it, we can debate. But the point is that the Prime Minister took an enormous political risk, and he took it in what he perceived to be the national interest. Now, if we are concerned citizens, I think it is our role to support that to the extent possible. Now, this issue will come to you, or has come to you already. You would have taken a stance on it. Like, it is of course possible to rewrite the books to explain the spike in cash deposits post demonetization, which we see in many cases. Now, one complicating factor is that the tax rates have been made very, very high. So, I mean, 80% when you file, if somebody has not gone for the PMGKY, 83% I think when you file the return, or rates above 100% depending on when the addition is made. But still, this is some issue which you will have to address. Now, our investigation wing in Karnataka, Goa has done a number of cases, some of which have been politically sensitive. Now, the only thing is, I would ask you to be fair that we have been politically neutral. We have searched both sides of the thing. It has certainly not been one-sided in any manner. The other is, we have taken a number of things which we think are socially useful, like doctors, reference fees paid to doctors by medical diagnostic centers, which is 25 to 30%, especially of the costly things like MRI and CAT scans, which probably resulted in unnecessary tests being done and patients being fleeced. We have also seen medical education where we have made huge cash seizures, where unfortunately it is being totally commercialized and being sold. We have also taken up technologically challenging centers like Bitcoin. Now, one question sometimes I find people ask me that why is only Karnataka or Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, wherever Seizure is so active, and we hardly hear anything from other places. Now the only answer I can make is that we have always, wherever I have worked, I have seen it's always been very active. 2 years in Bombay, 1 year in Chennai, 1 year now in Karnataka. We have tried to do our work with dedication, with application of mind, and with total sincerity. There can be a debate on whether a thing like a search and seizure, where we violate people's privacy, where we go to their homes, is required in our present setup, where we have a lot of data available online and otherwise. Now, we are open to any ideas on this, but my experience is that the kind of evidence we get through these things, we are not able to get through any other sources. But as I said, I hope that as time passes by, these kind of actions which are very, intrusive in nature will go down, and we will be able to shift to these other things. The other issue which as chartered accountants I would like to address is this, that in most of these places, unfortunately in the investigation wing, a specialized kind of group of people, chartered accountants who specialize in search and survey and dealing with the investigation that comes up. Now this is not a healthy thing, and wherever I had a role, I've been trying to see that it does not happen, that even if somebody gets searched, whoever was a CA earlier should continue to be working on that case. Here also I've been pressing on the same time, but on this issue or any other issue, if any of you have any things, you are welcome to meet me privately. I'll be happy to address and take up these issues. The second aspect of our relationship as chartered accountants and as tax administrators is that we are part of the same system, that our role in society comes from the fact that people have to pay taxes one way or another. Now, I would like to share a few of my thoughts on the present tax system or how we can go about it. Now, these are entirely my thoughts. I'm not speaking on behalf of the government or anything, but I would also like you to think about it, because every system can be improved and we need to think about how we can do things better. If you read the literature about what makes a good tax system, there are 3 things they say. They say the cost of collection should be very low, the cost of compliance on the part of the taxpayer should be very low, as low as possible. Finally, the distortion cost, that because of tax people change their behavior in ways that they would not otherwise do. That distortion cost to the economy should also be the lowest possible. This is the technical or academic part of it. On a broader perspective, I would feel that there are 2 or 3 important issues. One is that every citizen should in some way or the other contribute to the national exchequer, A, for the revenue, but also for that sense of ownership and participation which you get when you pay for something. You value something when you pay for it. I would feel that even at an entry level of 5% or something, every citizen should pay in some manner. Now, the system should obviously be simple, stable and predictable to the extent possible. Now, the point is the fact that the tax system should be simple is something which people talk about, but the point is that you also have to match it to a very dynamic global economy. We are trying to take taxes out of a economic system which is global and dynamic. So the tax system itself can be simple, but at the same time it should be sophisticated. It should incorporate insights into the taxpayer psychology as well as the global economic environment. If you don't do that, it will not work. It will be marrying a very simple country bumpkin to a very sophisticated city girl, that the two will not go together. The other issue is that we should collect the taxes we have to collect. If at 30% of the GDP we have an X amount to collect, that should not, our actual collection should not be too much lower than that. And another very important thing I feel is that the taxation system should also serve as an information system where we can identify deviant behavior. If somebody is making money out of crime or out of counterfeiting or out of black marketing or similar things, the tax system should also serve as a kind of information system which can throw up these issues. So, to work the tax rate should be low, but they should also be accompanied by abolition of so many of these exemptions. When you try to use the direct tax system, especially to achieve a variety of objectives like development of some particular industry, export promotion, development of underdeveloped areas, system, it becomes so unwieldy and it gives scope for so many misuse that it's not healthy for anybody. Now, regarding penalties for this one, as you are aware, we have very tough penalties up to 300. If somebody tries to evade tax, up to 300% of the thing. Now, again, perhaps we should see whether, at least for a first offence, whether the penalty should be so high. Somebody may be doing something out of ignorance or without any malunderstanding. So, if you start by putting a huge penalty, that becomes I don't think it's a healthy thing. It is like somebody does a first crime, if you put him for 10 years in jail, he will come out as a hardened criminal. And one issue which I have not been quite able to understand is that the rates of interest we charge, 234 ABZ and 222. Now, these combine both the penal and the compensatory rates. And the penal rates of interest are also become in some way compulsory. Now, whether this is a justified thing, I think, is something we need to think about. And technical kind of lapses like delay in filing returns, etc. That also, whether we should take it. My personal feeling is we should deal with it in a more understanding thing instead of only sort of prescribing very heavy penalties. Now, the system of deterrence, they say, works on two things. One is the certainty of punishment and second is the severity of punishment. Now, in our case, the certainty of punishment is unfortunately not very high because of our various administrative and judicial issues. But the severity of punishment is, on paper at least, very high. Now, I don't think that has given us very good results in the past. Maybe this is something we should look at. A lot of income, agricultural income, export proceeds are exempt from tax, which the fairness of that is perhaps something we should again think about. Now, finally, this international taxation, we have a PE-based, permanent establishment-based system of international taxation, where a foreign country more or less becomes taxable if it has a permanent establishment in India. Now, whether this is again a correct thing, like we see huge amounts of money going out of India as advertisement, as technical fees, in various other guises, all of which suffer little or no tax. Now, it's a fundamental question, but whether we can think of shifting to some other kind of system of international taxation, which should be a source-based system, that income which originates in India should be taxed in India. We should perhaps think about. Now, finally, in our role as citizens of this country who have a stake in this country and who would like to ensure a good future to our children, there are again a few thoughts which I would like to share. Now, like in this environment kind of cases, people say that we have not inherited the world from our fathers, we are actually borrowing it from our children and grandchildren. I think that applies to the rest of society also. The way we conduct ourselves today will make the India where our children, our grandchildren will grow, and it is in some way our debt to our people as to how we go about this. Now, a large proportion of income earners remain outside the formal system, like small tradesmen, small artisans. There are many people who are not part of the system, and many of them also have a kind of fear of entering into the system or filing returns or going through that process. Now, as professionals on your side and as administrators on our side, it is our duty to address this issue, to make the system as simple and transparent, and wherever possible it should be in the local language. Perhaps we could think of using mobile phones and SMS as a system of data input over time so that people find it easier to engage with the system. The other issue I think which is very important is that people should, somebody who enters the formal system should get some kind of reward for that, whether it is an easier access to credit or some kind of better access to education, medical health, etc. There should be some reward of being part of the formal system. Presently, I think there is only a fear of what happens if you become a part of seeing the entire taxation system as something alien and outside their cultural comfort zone. So I think we should try to develop the system as far as possible to do this. Now, one issue which you may like to consider, which is causing us a lot of distress, is the appellate system. Now, if we find many of our cases, we are losing on entirely technical grounds. Like, I don't know if you are aware of the 271(1)(c) penalty, where the difference is now being made between inaccurate particulars and concealment, where if somebody does not tick the correct box, the entire thing goes. Now, the background of this is that at one point when the punishment was for, penalty was for concealment, the court said there should, in that case, there should be mens rea, there should be some guilty motive to say there is concealment. So to overcome that, we brought in this thing of inaccurate particulars, so that would also attract the thing. So now, whether inaccurate particulars and concealment are two really watertight compartments or whether they mix in some manner. Similarly, we have in our search and seizure assessments this 153C. Now, the court decisions apparently say that, some of the court decisions say that where you not only have to record reasons in one of the files, but you have to record it in two files even where the officer is the same, otherwise the whole thing goes. Now the point is like or 148 reopening an assessment or 263 where the commissioner reopens it, all these have become very, very difficult areas for us. The point is that becomes a victory for that taxpayer and maybe for his representative, but if in the process a huge amount of revenue is lost to the country, then all of us are in a real sense the losers. So whether the taxation system should only be about these technicalities, or whether these technicalities should totally subsume the substantive part of it, is something as citizens we need to think about. Now, any profession needs accountability. The Prime Minister made a speech to the Indian Chartered Accountants Association a few months back, where among other things he made this statistics that in the last 11 years only 25 CAs have been prosecuted. I don't know whether that's correct, but this is from the Prime Minister's speech. And he also said something about 1,400 cases being pending with the ICAI for many years. Now, we know that in India there have been a series of scams. I don't need to name them, but there have been a series of scams to which chartered accountants as professionals would be one of the first to be exposed to those scams. But I am not aware of, sorry I am not being trying to be critical, but I am not aware of any scam which has been exposed by a chartered accountant working as auditor or otherwise. Now this is nothing to do with CAs as a profession. If you take the Indian middle class in all its thing, whether as advocates, doctors, like we talked about doctors taking commission on tests, as government officers, as bureaucrats, all of us have in many ways signally failed the system. Like we try to blame the politicians for many things, but I would submit that as middle class people, we are equally, we have not lived up to what the nation can rightfully expect from us. Now, coming back to our activities, I talked about our searches on politically connected people. Now, the one issue is that I find, especially in the southern states, many of the political leaders are also businessmen. Now, whether this is a healthy thing for the country is something, I mean, and that is across parties, it is not limited to any one party. But is this a healthy thing for the country or the state? Because there are very evident conflicts of interest which come forth. If a minister has entered into a joint venture agreement with a builder, now would it be reasonable to expect that the builder will not get any out of turn benefit? Is this correct? Now, as Donald Trump, the much criticized Donald Trump, when he took over as president, he put away his business interests and he sort of explained what he was doing to avoid those conflict of interest. Now, whether that system is foolproof or not, I don't know. But the point is, in India, we don't even acknowledge that this conflict of interest exists, nor do we confront that. Now, as citizens and as accounting professionals, maybe this is something that you could think of contributing, that how do we A, accept that there is this conflict of interest, and B, how do we face it? So, these are some of the things that I wanted to share with you. Now, as on a superficial level, we have an adversarial relationship, but if we first see ourselves as citizens of this country and we see the other roles as subsidiary to that, those conflicts are not that important. It's more important that we work together to create a society which is healthy and which is a taxation system, a financial system which promotes growth, fights deviant behavior like tax evasion, of course, but also the underlying things like corruption or counterfeiting or so many of the other things that go on. So I do hope that we can work together to this end. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful inaugural address. We really appreciate your views on income tax penalty provisions. Further, we chartered accountants always advise our clients to pay their due tax to the government, and also we continue to do that. When you come to, we have addressed in the Prime Minister's address, you have mentioned that some of the CAs are involved in the scams and all. So I just want to bring to your notice that in such serious scams involvement, our institute always taken immediate disciplinary action such as CAs. So that is going to happen regularly also. So, and when we are having more than lack of practicing child violence, one of the two cases bound to happen, that's a normal we feel. So whenever such things happens, our institute always taken immediate action or disciplinary action against such CAs. Now I request the floor is open for any question and answer sessions.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah, just 5 minutes you can spare on that.
Just wait for the mic.
Sir, some of the provisions in 68, 69,
Please wait for the mic.
Sir, good morning. My name is Ram Durai. Question is to Sir, Commissioner Sir. Sir, some of the provisions like 68, 69, and all where unexplained cash credit, unexplained investments, etc. See, the sections say like the assessee's explanation or not to the satisfaction of the assessing officer. So it just stops at that. So are there any guidelines or any step-by-step formats which can make the assessing officer, because it cannot be open to debate or something like that. So what is satisfactory to the assessing officer? there a guidance, sir?
See, obviously that is not a subjective satisfaction. You can't, I mean, anybody can't say that I'm satisfied or not. Yes, I'm not, I'm dissatisfied. It has to be a judicious satisfaction by application of reasoning to the available set of facts. And the senior officer's view is hardly the last thing. We have a huge series of levels of appeal where that is tested, and there are various judicial guidelines which are laid on. So the short answer is that it is the satisfaction is not a subjective satisfaction. Satisfaction means the application of a rational mind to the available facts.
Good morning. So much is spoken about the e-governance and e-proceedings, e-assessments, e-communication, and then from second October onwards, everything should be, nobody should be called to the department, and nobody should be wait at the department. Time should be maintained, but we hardly see any such progress at the department at the ground level.
No.
Is that true? Because in Bangalore, I think last year we did some 8,000 or 9,000 assessments through the e-assessment procedure. That is our statistic. Now, what is your feedback on that?
E-proceedings portal itself is not opening. When I try to open the e-proceedings and try to find out whether any issues, there are no records, it says.
That is at which portal is that? No, the way it works is that like once a case is selected for assessment, you will get an email.
Yes,
where you will be asked to say that normally it will be done through e-assessment, and if you don't want it, then you can opt out for that, etc. That is a default thing. E-assessment means it is done through the email. That is not happening.
No, emails have come, hard copy letters also have come. When we go to CPC portal and go to e-proceedings, no records are found. Number one. And even innumerable number of notices are issued. We have to go to the department, wait for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Not because it is because of 31st, even otherwise also. So much of professional time is wasted. Each one waiting for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. At ground level, really no governance is working. Innumerable number of rectification applications are pending. Innumerable number. Hardly any sanctuary is given for the time bound disposal of 154 applications. This is because
the issue is that I have a very I'm the Director General, which means I deal with investigation and central circles. What happens outside is fortunately or unfortunately not coming in by this one. But then this, we used to have these quarterly meetings between chartered accountants and the principal chief commissioner. Is that working? Does that happen?
At the policy level, I appreciate.
No, is that meeting happening in clearly?
Meetings are happening.
They have not been called. No chartered accountant has been called. Last if there is any other meeting, we don't know.
It has not been called.
I don't think CC is even aware such a meeting happens.
No, normally it used to be there. I'm sure it provides for that. We will take it. I will take it.
Yes, I used to be at the meeting at the CC level. So there is periodically they used to meet, and many issues used to get sorted out, especially of the nature of government and that. But after that, we have not.
There is also a direct tax advisory committee. Does that happen? I'm sorry to say this, but it is really not coming under my this one. But I'll take this up and make sure that these meetings stop. What you said about 154 is there, but now we also have these things like CP gram, e-nivaran, etc. If anybody puts it into it, I see everybody running around, and so the CP gram goes to the PMO and they do it verifiably. If you put something in the CP gram, you will find everybody running around and doing it. We have our own thing called e-nivaran. If both of these things, I would request that you use this e-nivaran first, and if it doesn't work, it goes to CP gram. But these are taken very, very seriously. So please use these things. I absolutely appreciate that. You should not have to go through that. The AO should listen to you and do these things. But if that is not working, please use one of these things. There is this thing called e-nivaran, and there is beyond that there is a CP gram which is monitored by the Prime Minister's office itself. Please use that. There I am sure you will get it. If you don't, please escalate it. That we have this whole thing of Chief Commissioner, Principal Commissioner, etc. If the AO doesn't listen to you, please escalate it. I find that happens in very, very few cases. I don't I find many associates and chartered accountants very reluctant to go to the thing, maybe thinking that the AO will get after me or something. Nothing of that sort will happen. Please use these avenues.
I think that is regarding assessment year 16-17, sir. I think e-proceeding. So for few files it is enabled and few it is not enabled as of now. It will become enabled within the next few months. Because already in our office we have uploaded online submission of scrutiny for few cases 16-17. As you rightly pointed out, for few cases they will say records not found or not enabled. Then we try to find a hard copy in the department. Telling that, and we also enclose a screenshot, copy of the screenshot, telling that we are not able to upload the details online. Because tomorrow I should not be held that I have not responded to the notice under 142.1 or 143.2. I should not be, held responsible that I have not responded to those notices. Now in this again e-filing system, now 143.2, how do you mean by service? Which Chaitanya will take up the aspect in the afternoon. How is notice under 142 deemed to be serviced? Take, your client has filed the return of income today with the email ID of say naveedkhalila@gmail.com. The case will be taken up for scrutiny after 2 years. That email is changed now, but the department's got only this email ID. And if that case is taken up for scrutiny based on cash reasons, the notice will be served on that email ID only. But I am not using that email ID anymore. So that again, we'll have to technically fight it out, sir. Sorry for this. Because, as you rightly pointed out, 271.1c, now entire, it has been substituted by 270A and 270AA. So 270A, again, these 3-4 amendments are directly in favor of the department. 270A says under-reporting of income penalty, the penalty liable is 50% of the tax ought to be evaded, whereas misreporting says 200%. And only for under-reporting, the assessing officer can waive the penalty if you satisfy the conditions, like payment of tax, etc. But for when the case becomes a misreporting of income, which is going to happen now, when your case will be selected for scrutiny for assessment year 17-18, then what happens if it is a case of misreporting? No penalty can be waived at the assessing officer level. You will have to necessarily file an appeal under 246A. Although 270 is not illustrated in the appealable orders, but what is illustrated? It's under chapter 21, penalty liable under chapter 21. So under chapter 21, even this 270A will be covered. And I would like to bring to your notice, sir, in this budget, last budget 2017, 3-4 amendments are made which are in favor of the department. For example, reason to believe or reason to suspect, what we are asking the courts of search. Now, it will not be given by assessing officer, it will not be shared by CIT appeals, it cannot be shared by the tribunal. So we will have to only go to the court. Only the court has the discretion now to give you a reason to believe. So for that you will have to travel through either Shankar or Pradeep. So now we can't go through assessing officer, CIT appeals or tribunal. Next, one more important amendment what is brought in your favor says 197C of Income Declaration Scheme 2016 has been abolished. Meaning to say, if I had purchased the land in 1983 and that land was not shown to the department, what I used to take the stand, fine, it is more than 6 years, you cannot reopen the case beyond 6 years from the end of assessment year under 148. Therefore, that asset department cannot bring it to tax now. But 197C, the draconian provision, what it said that in the year in which department comes to know, probably it comes to know in 2024, for example, why all the municipal tax records are now being, So based on that, the department comes to know, I had purchased the site at Vijayanagar. 2024, they come to know you have purchased the site, no doubt in 1984. So that section said that in the year in which notice is issued under 142.1, 143.2, 148, 153 ABC, then in that year it shall be the income, that undisbursed it shall become income of the assessee. It was a draconian provision, but now in this budget 2017 it says we abolished that provision. However, beyond 6 years I can reopen your case in case of a search. Beyond 6 years up to 4 years, but it comes with a rider. Either beyond 6 years up to 10 years, in any one of the year or 4 years, income that should have escaped assessment should be rupees 50 lakhs. Rupees 50 lakhs. So there are 2 or 3 more amendments which I don't want to waste much time. And also point well taken, he made 3-4 points about the citizen. As a citizen of the country, you should pay whatever taxes are due. And as a chartered accountant, you need to advise your clients. Rest assured, sir, after demonetization, every client has no hesitation in paying 30% of tax. Every client says, I want to pay 30% of tax, but don't make me pay, as you rightly pointed out, section 68. These 6 sections you have to be careful, members. Wherever there is a survey or a search, if the declaration is given under section 68, 69, A, B, C, D, 6 sections, If the statement is recorded, signed under 6 sections, the tax to be coughed up by the assessee would be 83%, and if you are voluntarily filing a return, it would be 77%. Not to talk in case of a search, with where you admit the income and don't admit the income, taxes with penalty can go as high as 137%, plus 107% where you admit and declare the taxes. And if suppose today the search is not allowed, along with the search will come your enforcement directorate, along with the search would come your CBI, along with the search Benami provisions can be invoked, where up to 7 years you can have free boarding and lodging, and also your assets can be seized. Your entire assets will be seized. Benami does not mean only immovable property, it may be your cash deposits, your bank account, your jewelry, everything. Everything and anything can become a Benami property. Sir?
Even undeclared marriage.
Even undeclared marriage. So all this becomes Benami, and where is the question? Now there should be a fight between the income tax department and the Benami. Why? Because who is going to collect the taxes now? Benami will tell, I want to seize your entire property. Whereas the department will tell, no, I am putting under 69A or 69 unexplained investment, you cough up taxes to the extent of 83%. I will go with the department because I have a saving of 17 to 18%. So anyway, thank you very much, sir, for your interaction with the members. We are most obliged. And also, when we went for the invitation, one of the officers, he was telling us, you are extremely lucky because our sir usually avoids all public platforms. He's always a workaholic, and 16 hours to 18 hours of the day is only interested in work and nothing else. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nami, for all the clarification. So it is my pleasure to put a vote of thanks for this inaugural session. A program well begun is half done. Friends, we had a fantastic inaugural session and inaugural address by our chief guest. Our chief guest, even in his busy schedule, taken time and come here and share his time, share knowledge with us. Please thank him with a big round of applause. Now I request Bangalore Bank Chairperson C.A. Geeta A.B. to present a memento to the chief guest as a token of appreciation and gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank the chief guest. We also thank the income tax officer along with our chief guest come here. Please thank them with a round of applause. Friends, for this one-day workshop, we have called eminent speakers C.A. K.R. Pradeep. Please thank him with a round of applause. We also called C.A. Padmachan Kincha, K.K. Chaitanya, and A. Shankar also joining us. Please thank them with a round of applause. Our program coordinator, C.A. Naveen Kariwal, is a young chartered accountant with high command and control over income tax subject. Whenever the Bangalore branch calls him, he comes forward with wholehearted support and makes the program a grand success. Please thank him. Friends, you are the reason for this conference. Your active participation always makes the program a grand success. A big round of applause for all of you. Thank you very much. So let us move on to our first technical session. Thank you.